Good evening. My name is Terrance Harmon, and this is my video on the empty self. How has society produced the empty self? How does the empty self threaten the mission of the church? And how can the local church minister to people who exhibit these qualities? Moreland in his book writes about the empty self, and he lists 7 traits concerning the empty self. Here I'm going to focus on 3 or 4 traits concerning the empty self. Moreland's book tells us about the inordinate, individualistic group of people. He further tells us about the infantile group, the narcissistic, and the passive. And how has society produced these individuals? Society has produced these individuals in a way by making us think like it is okay for us to be self-centered. It is okay for us to be narcissistic. It is okay for us to pout and carry on in a way when things don't go our way. Whenever things don't go our way, society makes excuses for us. Even if we don't win, society has the tendency of giving trophies to those who also lost, and in a way, it has produced individuals who think everything surrounds them, everything should be about them, and this is extremely harmful to the local church and its mission, because the Bible calls us to be disciples makers, and we cannot be disciples makers if we are individualistic. If you are individualistic, everything about life concerns you. Everything about life should be instantly gratified or gratifying. And there is no way we can make disciples if we are focused on ourselves. If we are infantile, if we are narcissistic, if everything concerning life is all about us, we are all about pleasing ourselves and not bringing glory to God. Our primary goal, our overall aim should be bringing glory to God. Everything that we do should bring glory to God. And there is no way these things can bring glory to God if we are filled with them. If we are filled with ourselves, if we are filled with the fact that everything that happens should involve us. Everything that about life should satisfy us and not satisfy God. Therefore, these traits are extremely harmful to the church. And how can the church minister to people who are narcissistic? How can the church minister to people who are individualistic? How can the church minister to people who are passive? People who have no goals, people who rely on television and movie stars or celebrities to live their lives for them. We can first start by forming what Moreland called the habit of mind. And the habit of mind, first of all, is seeking truth. Truth seeking. Even if the truth that we seek does not yield what we are looking for. If it yields the very opposite of what we are looking for, we should always be willing to seek it out because it is true. That is the primary goal. No matter what the situation is, whether it is against our argument or for our argument, as long as it yields the truth, that is what we should seek. Besides seeking truth, our overall goal should be obeying and bringing glory to God, like I said earlier. And furthermore, we ought to teach these individuals to learn on faith, hope, and trust. One must develop peace and serenity in order to develop a life of understanding. There is no way you can have a life of understanding if you are distracted. There is no way you can have a life of understanding if you are depressed. There is no way you can have a life of understanding if you are filled with anxieties. These things do not cultivate the mental growth. These things are against or they are, what's the word? Or they are hindrances to the mental growth. Therefore, we ought to try to develop the mind away from depression, away from distraction, away from all of these things. And then humility and open-mindedness is the next thing that we can do to minister to these individuals who are narcissistic, these individuals who are passive. We must teach them to have an open mind. We must teach them to have to be able to take criticism. We must teach them to be able to self-criticize. There will be times when you will have to argue against your own position, not in a negative way, but you'll just have to argue against it to strengthen your position, for your position to be strengthened. And then we must also teach them passion and enthusiasm. The mind also requires to have virtues of order, vigilance, and fortitude. The mind has to be passionate. The mind has to be enthusiastic. And the mind has to be willing to learn and develop ways in which it can cultivate intellectualism. And moving forward, these are the things that, as a believer, I myself am going to try to instill in me. I myself going to try to instill the fact that I need to be disciplined, the fact that I need to be cultivating mental strength. And moving forward, I pray the Lord's help that everything is going to go well as I take this journey through this semester. Thank you, and God bless.